What's up YouTube? My name's Quickie, welcome back to the channel. Yeah, it's all up in the air again. That means the bottom's coming off. Yeah, bike is off the road for a little bit anyway, because there's stuff going on. But we've also hit like the 500 mile marker. So where we rebuilt the top end of the engine, it's had 500 miles on it. So the head needs to be torqued down again, because they do come a little bit loose, and it's just something what you've got to do basically. So I'm just taking advantage of having it in, you know, bits and pieces and stuff as it is at the minute, trying to sort out other stuff. So I might as well get all that done as well. So first step is I'm going to have the top off it, retorque all the head so I know all that lot is fine. But then I want to get the sump off so I can have a look up into the gearbox, and so I'm sure I'll be able to see it from the bottom. I'm sure I can. But anyway, I want to have all that lot off and have a peek up underneath it and see if I can figure out what's going on with fifth gear. I reckon it's going to be worn dogs or missing teeth on a fifth gear, something like that. Just because they're like the worst jobs to fix. It means the engine's got to come out and then split the cases, which is like, you know, biggest job on the planet basically. But that's what I reckon. But I might as well try and get it all done in one go whilst I'm waiting for like the coils and blah-de-blah-de-blah to turn up and sort the rest of it out. As far as sorting out the other stuff, because I got the carbs off, I'm also thinking about getting some jets and having a guess at what the jetting should be. There's a very helpful fella who chipped in going, well, I've had one of these and this is the exhaust system I had and these are the jets that I put in it. So I might just mimic that and see how we go. Because to change, you know, all that lot, really want to take the carbs off. Just because it's a nightmare trying to do it otherwise. So I might be doing that as well. I don't know. I really don't know. But first things first, get the other fairing off. Just so I can get to stuff, and then we can have the lid off it and torque it up again, eh? Right. I've done it again. It's now 25 to 1. I've done bike a roll. Jamie and Mike rocked up for a chat and a brew. Mike's a nice guy actually. We got on well. But yeah, we've just been sat here yapping, drinking coffee, putting the world to rights. All I've done is get the side panel off. Ooh, that's black. There's a little bit of a sheen to that. I wonder if that's bits of fifth gear. Right, it's happening again. I'll just had Jack round. He's putting up some sort of tracking system or something, you know, like overhead gantry railing type thing. So he's been round yapping. Oh, wrong way. Yeah, so there's a lot more coming off than the bike than I wanted to. I was hoping I'd be able to squeak the sump out from underneath without having to take everything off. However, the exhaust definitely has to come out the way, purely because you can't get to these bolts and get anything on them to undo them to get the all lines off. And with the hard lines and everything else, you ain't going to be getting the sump off unless that's off. To get those off, the exhaust has got to come off. To get the exhaust off, the radiator and the oil cooler's got to come off, which means draining all that lot as well. Which I'm not too fussed. It's getting a complete and total fluid change. I mean, this is the coolant that came out of it, look. A bit grubby, isn't it? So everything is getting changed anyway. New coolant, new oil and filter, blah, 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 blah. But I really want to get in there and have a look at this gearbox as well. So it looks like I'm just tearing the entire bike down again, you know, which, all right, I sort of am. But I'm doing it for a reason. See, I can't get in there. The rain started again. British summertime, you gotta love it. Right then. Oh, bugger. Alright, I think we're a bit snookered here. I definitely think we're snookered. Right, okay. Let me clean my hands up. I'll stick you on the bench and I'll show you some stuff. Right, this bit might not work. Well, that's about as big as it's going to get zoomed. Right. Let me bring you down. I'm sorry it's all going to be wobbly and everything else, but this is the view from underneath. Hopefully you can see this. So basically the gearbox is up there. Essentially that's the oil pump housing. Oil filter comes off there and there's a pump that sits behind it. I believe it engages on the back of the gears in there. And I was hoping to use an endoscope and try and squeak down one of these gaps and have a look behind it. However, you cannot get anything down there. Can't even get a finger in anywhere. There's just housing that goes all the way back. I'll show you a picture in a second of what this looks like behind it. The only access is up here. I don't know if you can see it, but about, where are we? About there. There is an opening into the gearbox. I'm not convinced I'm going to get an endoscope up there. I don't know how far, you know, how bendy these things are or quite what we're going to see. But I was hoping to have a clear view of the gearbox and I just ain't going to get it. Right, let me show you the gearbox as it sits under there. Gearbox, where is it? Here we go. Right, so this picture here, I will get a bigger version and stick it up on the screen so you can see what I'm talking about. But from here you can basically see a load of the gears in the gearbox. You can see the selector drum, the forks, all that sort of stuff. You can basically see it. However, sitting on top of that is that oil pump housing, which you can see here. Again, I'll get a picture and stick it up. You can see the depth of this and the gaps around the outside. I don't believe we're going to get anything in there because it seems to be riding pretty close, you know, as far as the oil pump goes to the gearbox. There is access. I don't know if there is a picture. Is there a picture? There's like a cutout in the casing, which is basically up here. You know, sort of that bit there, I think it is. But even so, if I was to get an endoscope in this bit, I don't think we're actually going to get to see that much because this is the opening here. You can just see it there. So, I don't know, I might see a selector fork. Well, no, I'm not going to. I might see the selector drum, but I ain't going to see any of the teeth on the gears or the dogs or any of that stuff. The only way to have a look at this stuff properly is to have the engine out and split the cases. Because I am not going to take that out when the engine is the right way up. You really want to be doing this with the engine upside down, basically. I was looking at one of Andy's videos, actually. I can't remember, it could have been Basket Case, the XS that he's got, or it could have been his Ducati, but he had some gearbox issues. And he was there faffing about trying to do it with the engine in the frame, but his hand up underneath it, just doing it all by feel, trying to get, you know, selector forks and all this stuff back in place again. You know, he struggled, and he properly knows what he's doing. You know, he's built engines and everything else in the past. I haven't. This really is my first rodeo, so I don't think I'm going to be able to do it that way, which basically means to sort out fifth gear, it's going to be a case of having the engine out, splitting the cases and doing the job properly. That's the only way I can see to do it. There is an external bit, I'll get you a picture out of the manual and I'll show it to you. But basically behind, there's a cover next to the clutch slave cylinder, which you can have that off, take the water pump off, take the cover off, and you can get to the external gear shift mechanism. But essentially all that is the detents, the returns. So you know, you push it down to go into first and your lever magically pops back up again. Well, that's what that bit does. But that's all that it does, and I don't have a problem with that. It's the getting into fifth and using fifth. So the problem is definitely buried in the cases, and I ain't going to be getting to them anytime soon. Let me show you what I found in the sump as well. So this is the bit I can get to from the outside. Here it's talking about, give the gearbox components a close inspection. Well, I would do if I could see them. Gear selector forks should be examined. Yes, again, I would need to get to them. So this is the external bit. Obviously this is the bit that your lever goes onto, and that's the shaft it's connected to. And then you've got these two detents, the return springs. They are different, they're not interchangeable. But then the selector drum and all that lot, that's all buried under the cases, as are the selector forks and all that. So really you can only get to that bit and this bit here. That is it. I can go all the way through all the gears, it's just that I can't get fifth to engage. So I don't believe the problem is going to be on any of this lot. It's going to be in here, or it's going to be the fifth gear on either the input or output shaft, which, you know, is buried under the oil pump and right in the middle of the cases. Bugger, it was going so well today as well. Right, let me get some pictures of this and we'll see what's what. Right, hopefully you can see all this. Where's the strainer too? Come on, here we go. Okay, so this is the strainer. He basically lives in there, and this is obviously part of the pickup. If you have a look on the strainer, there is little bits of metal and stuff, and I'll try and zoom in so you can see what's what, but there is definitely something going on down there. And also if you look in this screen here, come on, there is this lot. Now that is actually quite a lot, and I don't know where it's coming from. It's definitely metallic. I don't know, it could be what's left of my fifth gear, I don't know. The engine was flushed through, and I would have hoped I'd have got, you know, most of it. You can see some bits and pieces here as well. I would have hoped I'd have got most of it out, but chances are that there's always going to be something floating about, because it doesn't always end up by that little metal, you know, the bung with the magnetic jobby. It goes all over the place. Some of the little recesses down here, you can see there's bits and stuff trapped in there, but this is actually quite a lot in my humble opinion. I'm no engine builder, and I know the engine has been pulled apart and put back together again, and it's got new components, but the fact that there's all this in there has got me just a little bit worried. Well, it's actually got me quite a lot worried, actually. I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'll have a chat with Jamie. I might even take some pictures and send the boys, you know, Matt and Andy, pictures of what's going on and what I found, and basically just take it under advisement, because to me something is, I don't know, it could be as a result of the engine rebuild, stuff that was in there not being flushed out properly. We know we got the problem with fifth gear, and I have gone to sixth, so the way I'm doing it is in fourth you pull the clutch in, whip past 2 gears so you're into sixth, and then let the clutch out. The idea being that nothing is engaging in the gearbox, but I suppose gear selectors are, you know, it's still going to be going through the drum, the forks are still going to be moving, you know, the dogs on the shaft for fifth gear, they're still going to be engaging and disengaging as we go into sixth. It's just that there's no load and power under it, but I don't know where all this is coming from. Bike pulls like a freight train. It really does. It makes good power, there's bags of it, there's loads of torque. You know, there's no clattering and banging and all that sort of stuff. So where has all this lot come from? It's worrying, isn't it? So I don't know what to do for the best now. I really don't. I've took some pictures, so I'm going to send them off to Matt and Andy, see what they've got to say. I'm also going to have a chat with Jamie, I think, because whilst I've got everything apart, he can come and have a look at it if he's free. And just tell me, is it normal, is it not? I mean, you know, bits like that floating around, I wouldn't be happy with. I want it clean as a whistle. The bike does perform really well though. It goes like an absolute freight train. There's bags of power there, and there's no nasty knocking and banging and slapping and all that sort of stuff. So it doesn't sound like, you know, it's metal on metal getting worn out or any of that sort of thing. And thinking it through, when we originally rebuilt the engine, everything was cleaned up to start off with. However, you know, so the main body of the engine, if you like, the bit that carries the crank and the gearbox and all that stuff, that was all basically just left. Everything got built back up again, and then I've got that blue barrel of like cheapy engine oil basically. It's the same grade and everything, it's just not mega quality or whatever. So we've topped it up with that, ran it through a few heat cycles, and then I've basically dumped all the oil. Now, it wasn't running gear, because I mean that's why we didn't even know there was a problem with fifth. We just made sure we could, you know, go through the gearbox all the way to the top and back again, sort of thing. So it was literally just run up static. There would have been oil floating around it, however any bits of shrapnel like that that was stuck in the gearbox, or you know, some of the little ledges and all that sort of stuff, well, you know, they probably just would have stayed there. So even though we flushed it all out, would all of those bits have made it back into the sump? I don't know. I don't think so. And even if they did, well, you know, on their journey, they would have got caught in this, and they would have got caught in that other screen as well. So even though I dumped all the oil out, it wouldn't have got rid of that shrapnel that was in there from when we first fired it up, having done the rebuild. That would all still be in there, trapped in those places that it's trapped in. So I'm not convinced, you know, if I'd have took the entire engine apart, split the cases, everything was spotlessly clean, and now I've come to do this and had the sump off and there's bits of shrapnel in the bottom, you'd think instantly, you know, something's wearing out and it's shaving bits off and they're all ending up in here because I cleaned this and I cleaned everything in it. But I didn't. The main body of the engine and gearbox was all just left. Anything that's in there, because it wasn't running gear, like I say, but you know, now I put 500 miles on it, there is a chance that stuff has worked its way through. So, I don't know. I really don't know. This was supposed to be a simple job. I'm not saying a 5-minute job, but it's supposed to be simple. Right, okay, so, am I going to do that? I don't know. Right, I need to phone a friend. That's it. It's annoying that I can't get in and see what the trouble is with fifth gear. That I am cheesed off at. And I thought, looking at the pictures, we'd be able to get something in there and have a peek. But there's no chance. I've had my fingers up there and all sorts of stuff trying to see how much room there is, and there just isn't any. Trouble is, you can't really tell from the pictures. You need to, you know, hold on to it and, you know, see it in real life before you get a sense of scale. So as far as this lot goes, I am glad that I pulled the sump off and had a go at this, because I found all this goo in the bottom. So this, in my book, was a worthwhile exercise to do. I'm not convinced this isn't old shrapnel. It could well be. Well, I don't know how rapidly the oil moves around an engine when it's being pumped. Yeah, I just don't know. And so the fact that we ran it up and put it through a few heat cycles and then dumped the oil and put fresh in, I don't know if there was all this, because the sump was clean, you know, that was all spotless when I put it on, having done the rebuild. But then, you know, you run it a little bit and it was only put through heat cycles, not in gear, so, you know, blah-de-blah-de-blah. You know, it could just be an old crap that then kind of worked its way through, didn't make it down into this bit, which is obviously where the drain plug is. Some got caught by that screen, some got caught by this screen, and it's basically stayed there, and it's been there since the engine was rebuilt. And it could have been old stuff that was floating around in the block and the gearbox before. Probably in the gearbox, because that's where we had all troubles. So I'm not convinced those engine flushes actually did it. But yeah, glad we've done this. I'm glad I found it, and I'm glad I can get it checked out with fellas that know, because, you know, I'm in unknown waters here, basically. So, plan is, I took some pictures, I'll send them off to the fellas and see what's what. Jamie can come and have a squint at it as well. I think he's probably going to, well, I don't know, he might agree, I don't know. But then, next week, we're going to have the coils turn up, so they can get fitted. I've also, I've got to retorque the head. That is a quick and simple job because I can get to it all now because the bike is basically stripped apart. I need to get some coolant because I got rid of all that lot. And what else was there? There was something else. Oh yeah, the carb, the jets. These carbs were bought for a, you know, ZZR1100 off eBay. They're not the original ones, they're sort of, you know, different ones. But they are for this model bike. And it says in the manual what the standard jet sizes are there. Now there was a fella, I can't remember your name, I am sorry, it's something about let it rip. And you're in the States as well, I know that much. But anyway, he's quite familiar with all this lot, and he's got one which has got like aftermarket exhaust, similar to this, and like, you know, free flow air filters and blah 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 blah. And he's come up with, he's chipped in on the comments and given me jet sizes to go for. So I need to go back and have a look, and I'll compare it just to make sure you know, because there could be a difference between the US model and the British model. But if the jet sizes that you're talking about is the same, then I'm probably going to get some jets and I'll just stick them in the carbs and we'll go with that when I do the rebuild. Because the carbs is off. It's a doddle to get to them now. However, having to pull everything off just to change the jets to stick it all back together again, that's going to be a proper pain. So I might be doing that. I think it's probably worthwhile. And like I say, the bike was running fine and pulling great, so, you know, I'm not worried about that. I'm really not. I just want to know about this lot. I think I'm right. I don't know. I want to check. So that's why I'm going to phone a friend. But anyway, nothing else is getting done now because it's just gone 4 o'clock and I need to chip off to the shops and get something for dinner. So it ain't going back together today. So that's where I'm going to leave it for this one. But thank you ever so much for watching. Do hope you're well and staying safe. We'll see you on the next one. Laters!